How many people will the facility be able to hold?
Well, the number will increase to 1,000, Tom, 1,000 Australians at a time coming from overseas who will be able to be held here at Howard Springs. That's up from the number at the moment, which is 500, although there are criticisms of the Commonwealth government that that is too little and too late. We've seen the scenes today in San Francisco where some 30 Australians have been stuck there at San Francisco airport after that United plane that was supposed to take off had a technical fault with it, some kind of issue. Then there were 30 Australians who were told that they wouldn't be able to board a flight to Australia because the quota of 350 arrivals into Sydney for the day had already been filled. Now, they've since been told they'll be able to board another United Airlines flight and get back home. But this issue has again brought to a head this problem we're having bringing Australians from overseas back to this country. Anthony Albanese was out this morning. He was saying that this deal that's been announced by the government here at Howard Springs is too little and too late.
The Gunner government said very early on that they'd make the facility available, but the Commonwealth did nothing to advance that project. The issue of quarantine and the issue of people returning home is clearly a national government responsibility, and the government has failed in that area to take up what is a practical suggestion that Labor made many months ago.
Now, the Commonwealth says it has been asking the states to do more. We know that the Northern Territory is taking the bulk of those coming from overseas. Also, New South Wales taking many of those international arrivals. But the Commonwealth wants to see other states doing more to take those people into Australia when they do come home from overseas. We know that there are more than 36,000 Australians who are stranded overseas at the moment. Greg Hunt did confirm that news this morning about the doubling of the capacity here at Howard Springs.
We are very close to concluding an agreement with the Northern Territory to double the capacity for Howard Springs, which is the quarantine facility, to bring home more Australians earlier. So what we see is that we've exceeded our targets of bringing Australians home, but as is the case, always there are more people looking to come home. So we have to work with the states on expanding hotel quarantine capacity, but we're also working directly with the Northern Territory on doubling capacity, and that report in the NT News today was frankly absolutely accurate.
Now, just as he was making that announcement this morning, Tom, we heard that 3 more people who are here at Howard Springs had tested positive to the coronavirus after arriving on a flight yesterday. That brings the total to 19 of the positive cases from people arriving on those international flights. The Northern Territory Chief Minister Michael Gunner was asked whether the health of Territorians was being put at risk with these international arrivals being brought here to Howard Springs. Here's how he responded.
It's absolutely true that the risk to the nation right now of exposure to coronavirus is in accepting international arrivals. Now, I don't believe you therefore put up the walls and let no one in.
So obviously the Commonwealth looking at more options to bring stranded Australians home. One that's been floated here in the Northern Territory, Tom, is the use of the Wickham Point Detention Centre. In fact, the Coalition Senator Sam McMahon has floated that as an option. It's empty at the moment. It has been for quite some time. Michael Gunner says it'd be better to have them all in the one place, although he says he's not opposed to that idea. He says it's up to the Commonwealth. One spanner in the works to that plan, though, might be the fact that the owners of that particular facility have been locked in a legal battle with the Commonwealth government for some 3 or 4 years now over the use of that facility when it was a detention centre.
But that's the big question, I guess, right now that everyone's asking. If hotel quarantine is capped and limited, and we understand that, and the bigger risk is it's spreading through cities, why can't more of these detention centres be open? Are there other issues, practical ones? I mean, reopening them, the type of accommodation being suitable for families and so on?
Look, Tom, I've spoken to the owners of the Wickham Point Detention Centre in the past couple of months. I've been out to that facility. It is quite a good facility. In fact, it has its own hospital within the grounds of the Wickham Point Detention Centre. It obviously hasn't been used as a detention centre for some time, and I think the accommodation there is quite reasonable. As you say, it also fits the other bill of being a long way away from any populated area. Wickham Point is about a 45-minute drive from the Darwin CBD. So obviously the risk of infection spreading from that quarantine facility, if it were used as one, into the general public would be lower. One of the downsides perhaps is the difficulty it may be getting staff out there, getting other facilities, other services out there, given it is quite a way from the CBD, although we are about 30 minutes from the CBD here at Howard Springs, and that hasn't seemed to have posed any issues here. So perhaps it is one option that should be on the table.